What's up guys, Barry Game here, back with some more AFK Journey, and today is about Ludovic's final score, his final grade, what I'm going to give him, and kind of my best guess on if you should also summon for this hero. We're gonna go over the pros, the cons, where he's really good at, and where he really falls apart. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's talk about Ludovic. Now, first up, one of the amazing things is he is part of the Graveborn faction, which is just not really that heavy on support heroes just yet. So number one, that is a cool thing. If you are a fan of Graveborn, this is definitely a hero to go for, hands down. He's one of the best heroes, kind of supporters in the game right now, and there's a lot of things he does do well. Let's talk about his kit. Number one, his kit is ultimate, and his first two abilities that you can get immediately on a single copy are all already there, and his healing is absolutely nuts. If you haven't seen all of our videos this whole weekend from the Thursday all the way to yesterday, go check them out to really see what's going on. We have a breakdown of different healers, we show him off in a bunch of different game modes, and most importantly, we have a single copy testing that rivals our Smokey's healing. And the benefit is his Everbloom moves around the battlefield to wherever the heroes that are taking damage are taking. The downside is he has a much smaller healing radius than Smokey has in comparison. Smokey's constantly healing, whereas Ludovic's has to like recycle, get more energy back, and then can do some more healing. But number one is, I think he has, as far as pure healing throughput, probably one of the best in the game, up there with Smokey, and we all know how good Smokey is. Number two, if you want him to be a damage dealer, you are most definitely going to have to get him to Mythic Plus. You guys have probably seen us against King Croaker and a couple other situations. This healer can do some damage, however, you definitely need Mythic Plus. You need to get this here because mainly it says when you produce a berry that explodes after a short delay, it deals 100% damage to all enemies while also restoring allies. So the further you get this up, the more damage you can do and the more healing you can do. This extra damage and healing is very, very huge, and it can be used against bosses like King Croaker and outdamage even Smokey with his insane Mythic Plus. Beyond that, we have his Enhanced Force, which is okay in some scenarios. The downside of this Everbloom field is if it's constantly moving around the battlefield, if it just appears under an enemy's foot, that does not count as an enemy stepping onto the Everbloom field. What has to happen is that enemy has to be off of the bloom and physically walk onto it wherever it was to get that 3-second stun. So it is very, very unreliable. However, his season ability is very nice too, giving attack and haste buffs to the ally who's dealt the most damage, which is really, really cool. But overall, again, single copy, he's actually a very good supporter. Now let's talk about what game modes he's really thriving in. So let's just start out with everybody's first hot topic, deficit pushing. I have heard from people that he can be a very good deficit pusher, mainly because he does a ton of healing right out of the gate. Is he better than Smokey? Of course not, because Smokey at Mythic Plus can just tear through enemies. And if you just jump in here and see, you'll notice, I mean, the go-to team is Smokey and Haywin. I will say he can be a substitute for Haywin. However, Haywin also has that built-in damage reduction, which is really nice. If you don't need the damage reduction and you need more offensive power, then putting him in this type of team is much, much better. You can see most people are running a very similar comp nowadays, like just very, very similar. You can slot him in my opinion, over Haywin, which is a pretty cool pick, and that is going to be good for deficit pushing. That's not something I do anymore because, well, once you get to like 1200, there's really not much point to keep going, and I just smash every day whatever I can do. I don't worry about pushing, and it ends up being pretty well. So as far as deficit pushing goes, I'd probably give him like an S tier up there. Not S plus like Smokey, Fresto, and all them, but definitely a solid S tier. Now when it comes to certain game modes, it really depends. When it comes to these bosses here, oops, that's the wrong one. Some of them he's very good in. He's really good against Lone Gaze. He's pretty good. He can be pretty good against Alpha Bear if you don't have a Smokey. Skyclops, he's okay. King Croaker, he is the best. Necro Draken, he lacks on, and of course Snow Stomper, he lacks on. But overall, I feel like because he's like S plus on a couple, but then very like B tier on others. I think I give him like a solid A, maybe S tier when it comes to Dream Realm. Very solid overall healer though, and can put out some damage, which is pretty cool, which is another reason why I think in PvP he is a really good hero right now. I've been using him a ton. Even in my defensive formation, I like running him on my team. It's mainly, actually this spot I actually took him out just to try it out, but a lot, see, I swapped it out and I started losing, but most of the time I'm running him, we're doing pretty good. I sometimes still swap back to a different hero, but his healing, you can see, is just not, it's not matched. But I wouldn't call him an S plus hero by any means. Again, I think I would give him a solid S tier when it comes to PvP, and that's both in Arena and Supreme Arena. Juris Trials, he's pretty solid overall, and the only other place really to talk about is Legend Trial, and let's be honest, he gets the S plus here just because he's just so useful. So useful, because, I mean, Graveborn, they desperately need a healer, and he fills that niche perfectly. Now, last but not least is the should you build him even if he is getting those higher ranks. Well, good news, you have plenty of time to do this. This is going to be one of our first ever 30-day banners. Yes, not 21, usually they're 3 weeks. What I think is happening is because this is going to run for 24 more days, so it's 1 2 3 1 2 3, that brings us to the 7th of August. I think what that means is we're then going to have a 3-week banner to finish out the season. Yeah, we're kind of actually coming up towards the end of the season, which is going to be interesting to see how that works out, how that happens, all that fun stuff. But there's plenty of time to go. You still have over 3 weeks to decide, so there's no rush whatsoever. I saw a meme on Reddit earlier today, though, that was funny. It's like, first we had Vala come out, and then Florbell comes out, and everybody going for Florbell's like, I wish I got Vala. Then Florbell passes, and it goes to also, and like, I really wish I got, it just keeps going on, and most people are like, I wish I would have grabbed Almas now. I do think grabbing a single copy of Ludovic is not a bad idea to at least have your basis started on him, because again, if you just need raw healing output, he's actually really good at doing that even at a single copy. And because he's a support hero, he doesn't really leap into battle. You can put him safely in the back or wherever the safe spot is. He can be a good thing, and then you can decide later if you need to build him. I will highly reference you to my healer breakdown, the Ludovic versus Smokey versus Haywen versus Damien video, because we kind of break down where each of them really thrives. And it's kind of weird because he's like, I feel like Ludovic is number 2 in every single category. If we're talking about deficit pushing, I feel like he's kind of number 2. If we talk about PvP, I feel like he's kind of number 2 to, like, you know, Damien. Deficit pushing, of course, number 2 to Smokey. If we're talking about Tower, I guess that's the only place he is taking a little bit of an oomph. But everywhere he's kind of just like just behind the best hero, which again, I feel like is why I think my overall grade I'm going to give him is just going to be like a solid S tier hero. He's not S plus. He's not like overly exceeding in any category besides like King Croaker, and that's about it. But he's a really, really good hero. I think he's amazingly built, and if you need a support hero, he's definitely worth it. If you don't need a support hero, up to you to decide, but there's plenty of time for it. We will continue to test him out. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys next time.